Hi friends, welcome back to Sharon Zoology. See, in this session, we are going to learn about some information regarding human reproduction. If you know about reproduction, what is this reproduction? See, this reproduction is an innate tendency of all living organism. It's an innate tendency of all living organism to produce their young ones for the continuity of their race. So all organisms reproduce for the continuity of their life or the continuity of their race. And in human, that particular function, reproduction, is performed by a group of organs. That is human reproductive system. But we are most advanced group and we are sexually dimorphic also. And here that particular function, reproduction, is performed by male and female reproductive system. So first of all, we are going to learn about human male reproductive system. Human male reproductive system. And here system means a particular function is performed by a group of organs. So here male reproductive system means here a group of organs are involved in this function for performing reproduction. So human male reproductive system consisting primary sex organs and secondary sex organs. So human male reproductive system consisting primary and secondary sex organs. Then the primary sex organs in human male reproductive system, a pair of testes. A pair of testes are the primary sex organs in human male reproductive system. So primary sex organs are a pair of testes. Next is secondary sex organs. These secondary sex organs in male reproductive system includes accessory ducts, accessory sex glands, and male external genitalia. These are the secondary sex organs in male reproductive system. So here the male reproductive system consisting primary and secondary sex organ, and here primary sex organs are a pair of testes. Then secondary sex organs are grouped as accessory ducts, accessory sex glands, and male external genitalia forms the secondary sex organs in human male reproductive system. So first of all, I'm going to explain about this primary sex organ. That is testes are primary sex organs in human male reproductive system. Then in humans, a pair of testes are the primary sex organs. So human testes are extra-abdominal. Means it is located outside the abdominal cavity. These testes are located outside the abdominal cavity, that is extra-abdominal, located outside the abdominal cavity within a sac called scrotum. So human testes are extra-abdominal, that is located outside the abdominal cavity within the sac called as scrotum. See, suppose this is the abdominal cavity. And human testes are not located in this abdominal cavity. These are extra-abdominal. These testes were located in a sac-like structure called as scrotum. So these testes located outside the abdominal cavity within a sac called scrotum. Thereby human testes are extra-abdominal. And these extra-abdominal testes not only seen in humans. Most of the mammals have these extra-abdominal testes. But in some mammals, intra-abdominal testes also seen in some mammals. Intra-abdominal testes. Intra-abdominal testes seen in animals like elephant, rat, delphinus, or dolphin, Balaenoptera, blue whale, then egg-laying mammals, Human testes were formed in abdominal cavity. In embryonic stage, these testes were formed in abdominal cavity. Actually, these testes, this structure were formed in abdominal cavity. But during the 7th month of fetal life, these testes descend into scrotum. During the 7th month of fetal life, these testes descend into scrotum. So these testes were formed in abdominal cavity, but during the 7th month of fetal life, these testes were descend into scrotum. So testes from the abdominal cavity descend into scrotum through a passage. So here a passage exists in between abdominal cavity and scrotum. So these testes were descend into abdominal cavity through a passage between abdominal cavity and scrotum called as inguinal canal. This passage called as inguinal canal. So this testis formed in abdominal cavity and these testes were descend into scrotum through the inguinal canal. Then why this testis descend into scrotum? What is the significance of this descent of testis into scrotum? This scrotum always maintain a low temperature required for sperm formation or spermatogenesis. So this scrotum always maintain a low temperature required for spermatogenesis. That is, it always maintain about 34.5 to 35 degrees Celsius temperature in this scrotum. So about 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature. So this scrotum always maintains a low temperature, and this low temperature required for this spermatogenesis or sperm formation. Suppose this one is scrotum, and this scrotum is partitioned into two scrotal sacs. The scrotum partitioned into two scrotal sacs. Scrotal sac by the scrotal septum. In the scrotal septum, partition the scrotum into two scrotal sac. So here these are the two scrotal sac and this testis located in this scrotum. And this is the passage between abdominal cavity and scrotum called as inguinal canal. This one is inguinal canal. The duct from the testis, one of the duct from the testis. We will discuss then later about this duct. This is a duct from testis. See, this duct called as vas deferens. This vas deferens from the testis ascend into abdominal cavity through the inguinal canal. This vas deferens is a duct from testis. This duct ascend into abdominal cavity through this inguinal canal. Then, suppose this is a artery which is supply blood to the testis. So this one is testicular artery. This one is testicular artery. Artery which is supply blood to testis. Testicular artery. And here this one is a vein which leave from the testis. The vein which leave from the testis. The vein which leave from the testis called as testicular vein. So here the vas deferens passes through the inguinal canal, blood vessels passes through the inguinal canal, then nerves as well as lymph vessels are transported to the testis through this inguinal canal. So here through this inguinal canal, the blood vessels, nerves, lymph vessels, vas deferens etc. are passes, and this bundle called as spermatic cord. So this spermatocord contains blood vessels, nerves, lymph vessels, vas deferens etc. passes through this inguinal canal called as spermatic cord. This bundle is known as spermatic cord. And here in this spermatocord, this is the testicular artery. This testicular artery supply blood to testis. Testicular artery. See what is the flow of blood? here this testicular artery, this flow of testicular artery means this testicular artery descend and transport blood to this testis. And here this one is testicular vein. This testicular vein leave from the testis. That means it ascend through the inguinal canal. So here is a counter current flow of blood through this inguinal canal. The counter current flow of blood through the inguinal canal. Here the blood transported to testis. One of the function of blood is transport of heat. So the blood which come towards the testis have heat also. But when the blood passes to the testis through the testicular artery, when the blood passes to the testis through this testicular artery, this heat from this testicular artery collected by the vein leave from the testis. The heat from this testicular artery collected by the vein leave from the testis, thereby maintain a low temperature in scrotum. So the counter current flow of blood in this spermatocord helps to maintain a low temperature in scrotum. And also some muscles of the scrotum called as cremaster muscles and dartos muscles of scrotum. So the cremaster and dartos muscles of scrotum also helps to maintain a low temperature in this scrotum. Suppose when the surrounding temperature fall, when the surrounding temperature decreases, these two muscles contract. These scrotal muscles like cremaster as well as darto muscles contract and make this testis and scrotum more close to the abdominal cavity and maintains this low temperature than the normal body temperature. When the surrounding temperature increases, these two muscles relax and thereby release heat from the testis. So the scrotal sac always maintains a low temperature. That low temperature is required for spermatogenesis. This low temperature in scrotum maintained with the help of the counter current flow of blood in this spermatocord as well as the cremaster and dartos muscles of scrotum also helps in maintain a low temperature in this scrotum. Thereby the scrotum always maintains a low temperature. This is the significance of descent of testis into scrotum. And the hormone androgen is needed. The hormone androgen is needed for the descent of testis into scrotum. The hormone androgen is needed for the descent of testis into scrotum. And if any failure in the descent of testis into scrotum, what happened? There is no gamete production. And in some individual, there is a failure to descend testis into scrotum. That condition is known as cryptorchidism. Cryptorchidism means failure to descend testis into scrotum. Failure to descend testis into scrotum called as cryptorchidism. This is the structure of testis. Human testis. These testes were formed from the germ layer mesoderm. All gonads are formed from mesoderm. This testis is also formed from the germ layer mesoderm. So suppose this one is testis. And each testis covered by 3 membranes. So these form the membranes of testis. So each testis covered by 3 membranes. The outermost membrane. This is outermost membrane. This outermost membrane called as tunica vaginalis. Outermost membrane. Tunica vaginalis is a serosa membrane. It's a serous membrane or serosa membrane. Second one is a fibrous capsule formed of dense irregular connective tissue, that is tunica albuginea. So second membrane of testis is tunica albuginea. Then this tunica albuginea is a fibrous capsule formed of dense irregular connective tissue. Formed of dense irregular connective tissue. The innermost layer is a vascular layer. Innermost layer is vascular, formed of connective tissue. That vascular layer is known as tunica vasculosa. tunica vasculosa. So this test is covered by three membranes. They are the outermost membrane, tunica vaginalis. Second one is tunica albuginea. Innermost one is tunica vasculosa. These are the three covering of testis. And here, this second layer, tunica albuginea, that fibrous connective tissue membrane. This tunica albuginea here invaginate into the testis. This tunica albuginea layer invaginate into the testis. What happened by this invagination? So by this invagination, testis divides into different lobes. So here, this tunica albuginea invaginate into the testis. As a result, this invagination causes the partition of testis into different lobules. Now this, here in this diagram, this partition divides to form 1, 2, 3, 3 lobules. But in our testis, by a result of this invagination, this testis partition into about 200 to 300 lobules. Average 250 lobules. Average 250 lobules. About 200 to 300 lobules. These lobules are called as testicular lobules. So here this tunica albuginea invaginate into the testis and divide the testis into about 200 to 300 lobules called as testicular lobules. So these are the testicular lobules, and in a testis contain about average 250 lobule, about 200 to 300 lobules. These lobules are testicular lobules. So here what is the role of this invagination? So here this invagination, this tunica albuginea is the invagination. This invagination acts as the septum to partition the testis. So here this tunica albuginea after invagination, this invagination is act as the septum of testis. So the tunica albuginea invaginate in the testis and form the septum of testis. This septum divide the testis into about 250 lobules called as testicular lobule. Then here these are the testicular lobule. Each testicular lobule contain highly convoluted tubule. Highly coiled tubules are found in these testicular lobule. So each testicular lobule contain the highly convoluted tubule. So each testicular lobule contain the highly coiled tubule. And these highly coiled tubules are called as seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. So each testicular lobule contains this highly coiled tubule. That means about 1 to 3 highly coiled. 1 to 3. Each lobule contains about 1 to 3. So each lobule contains about 1 to 3 highly coiled tubules are seminiferous tubule. These seminiferous tubules are the functional unit of testis because the primary function of testis is gamete production or spermatogenesis. That spermatogenesis takes place in the lumen of this seminiferous tubule. These are the functional unit of testis. Okay. Then here, these tubules are seminiferous tubules. And from here, these seminiferous tubules from each lobules, these seminiferous tubules opens into another duct. This seminiferous tubules opens to a duct called as retro testis. Seminiferous tubules opens to a duct called the retro testis. See, these are seminiferous tubules, and seminiferous tubule from each lobule opens to a duct called as retro testis. And here this retro testis opens to another duct. This retro testis opens to another duct called as vasa efferentia. This retro testis opens to another duct vasa efferentia. And this vasa efferentia opens to a long tubule. This vasa efferentia opens to a long tubule or a long duct. This vasa efferentia opens to a long duct. This long duct is called as epididymis. This long duct is called as epididymis. And it has about 6 meters long, that much highly cold tube. It has about 6 meters long, the highly cold tube. The highly cold tube is this epididymis. And this epididymis is a highly cold tube, and this epididymis alone has 3 regions. This epididymis alone has 3 regions. This is the head of epididymis. This is the head part of epididymis. That is the caput or head of epididymis. So this is the head part of epididymis, is called as caput or head of epididymis. This is the middle portion. This middle part is known as the body or the corpus. Body or corpus of epididymis. And this one is the tail region. This is the cauda epididymis. The cauda epididymis. These are the 3 regions of epididymis. So this epididymis alone has 3 regions. They are caput or head, body or corpus, and the cauda epididymis are the 3 regions of epididymis. They are caput or head, then body or corpus, and cauda epididymis. Cauda means tail. And this epididymis opens to another duct. This epididymis opens to a duct called as vas deferens. Epididymis opens to the duct called as vas deferens. So, this is the structure of testis, and each test is covered by 3 membranes covering a outer tunica vaginalis. Second one is tunica albuginea, inner one is tunica vasculosa. The tunica albuginea invaginate into the testis and form the septum of testis. The septum divides the testis into about 250 lobules called as testicular lobule. And each testicular lobule contains the highly convoluted tubule, about 1 to 3 in number. Each lobule contains about 1 to 3 highly coiled tubules are called as seminiferous tubule. Sperm production takes place in this seminiferous tubule. So these seminiferous tubules are the functional unit of testis. Then these seminiferous tubules opens to a duct called as rete testis. This rete testis opens to another duct, vasa efferentia. This vasa efferentia opens to epididymis. Epididymis leads to vas deferens. And here, this rete testis and vasa efferentia, these are the ducts seen inside the testis. This rete testis and vasa efferentia seen inside the testis. Rete testis and vasa efferentia are seen inside the testis called intratesticular ducts. Intratesticular ducts. But this epididymis and vas deferens, this epididymis leave from the testis. This epididymis and vas deferens are extratesticular ducts. This epididymis and vas deferens are extratesticular ducts. So here these 2 are intratesticular, these 2 are extratesticular ducts. This form the structure of testis. But it is not completed. We have to explain the structure of this seminiferous tubule. Next is the structure of seminiferous tubule. Seminiferous tubule structure. See, this is the seminiferous tubule. Suppose this is the cross section. Cross section of this seminiferous tubule. And this form the lumen of seminiferous tubule. Lumen. This is the lumen of seminiferous tubule. And the lumen of seminiferous tubules are lined by, it is internally lined by the germinal epithelium. The lumen of seminiferous tubules are internally lined by germinal epithelium. The germinal epithelium is formed of 2 types of cell. Suppose this is the germinal epithelium. This germinal epithelium formed of 2 types of cells. So this is the lumen. This lumen is lined by germinal epithelium. This is the germinal epithelium of seminiferous tubule. And this germinal epithelium consists 2 types of cells. Here 2 types of cells are seen in the germinal epithelium of seminiferous tubule. They are these basal cells or the smaller cells. The smaller and numerous cells in the germinal epithelium is known as spermatogonium. These are smaller as well as the numerous cells in the germinal epithelium of seminiferous tubule. These cells are called as spermatogonium or male germ cells. Spermatogonium or male germ cells. And this spermatogonium or male germ cell, this spermatogonium or male germ cells were formed from primordial germ cells. So the spermatogonium were formed from the primordial germ cells. The primordial germ cells of yolk sac is an extraembryonic membrane. We will discuss in later about this yolk sac. Anyway, this spermatogonial cell were formed from the primordial germ cells. In embryonic stage, this spermatogonium formed from the primordial germ cells of yolk sac. Then these are the smaller and numerous cells in the germinal epithelium of seminiferous tubule called as spermatogonium or male germ cell. Because its fate is this male germ cell differentiated to form this male germ cell. Its fate is this male germ cell differentiated to form the male gamete or spermatozoa or sperm. So the fate of this spermatogonial cell, this spermatogonial cell is differentiated to form sperm or spermatozoa. And one more cell, these larger cells, and these cells are called as Sertoli cells or sustentacular cells. This Sertoli cell or sustentacular cells perform different functions. Then what are the functions of these Sertoli cells? Functions of Sertoli cell, first one. This Sertoli cell provide nourishment to the growing spermatogonium. It provides nourishment to the growing spermatogonium as well as spermatozoa or sperm. So first function is nourishment. It provides nourishment to the growing spermatogonial cell as well as the sperm or spermatozoa. Next function. This Sertoli cell produces a protein called as androgen binding protein. The Sertoli cell produces a protein called as androgen binding protein, ABP. And this androgen binding protein from this Sertoli cell, this Sertoli cell produces the protein androgen binding protein. The androgen binding protein from the Sertoli cell under the stimulation of the hormone FSH. Androgen binding protein produced by the Sertoli cell under the stimulation of which hormone FSH. So under the stimulation of FSH, this Sertoli cell produces the protein androgen binding protein. See, suppose this is that Sertoli cell. And this Sertoli cell contains FSH receptor. FSH receptors are found in Sertoli cell. The pituitary hormone FSH bind to this FSH receptor of Sertoli cell. The cell gets stimulated and develop a second messenger like cyclic AMP. Develop a second messenger like cyclic AMP. And this second messenger stimulate the gene expression. This second messenger stimulate the gene expression of this Sertoli cell. That means when FSH bind on the receptor develop a second messenger inside the cell. This second messenger stimulate a particular gene in the Sertoli cell. This gene produces a protein called as androgen binding protein. We know one gene for one polypeptide. Under the stimulation of FSH, a particular gene in the Sertoli gets stimulated. That gene produces a protein called as androgen binding protein. This androgen binding protein means it binded to androgen. And one of the function of androgen is androgen stimulate this spermatogonial cell. This spermatogonial cell, what is the fate of spermatogonial cell? This spermatogonial cell will become sperm. This androgen hormone stimulate this spermatogonial cell. Then only this spermatogonial cell differentiated from spermatocyte, spermatid and finally sperm. So under the stimulation of androgen, this spermatogonial cell differentiated to form the sperm or spermatozoa. That means the spermatogenesis or sperm formation required this androgen. But our androgen, the hormone androgen, is highly lipophilic. This hormone androgen is highly lipophilic, not hydrophilic. This hormone androgen is highly lipophilic, not hydrophilic. So this highly lipophilic nature is not good in this medium, because this highly lipophilic hormone can't concentrate in this water-rich medium of lumen of seminiferous tubule. So this water-rich medium of seminiferous tubules are not suitable for these lipophilic hormones like androgen. But when this ABP bind on this androgen, when androgen binding protein ABP bind on this androgen, it make the androgen less lipophilic. This ABP, this protein ABP from the Sertoli cell make the androgen less lipophilic. So ABP make the androgen less lipophilic, thereby concentrate androgen in this testis. So role of ABP make the androgen less lipophilic, thereby concentrate the androgen in the lumen of seminiferous tubule. By concentrating androgen in testis, androgen act on this spermatogonial cell, and in this spermatogonial cell differentiated to form sperm. That means sperm production required the protein ABP from the Sertoli cell. Thereby this Sertoli cell involved in spermatogenesis. So how this Sertoli cell involved in spermatogenesis? By producing the protein androgen binding protein. When this Sertoli cell release androgen binding protein, it bind with the androgen and made the androgen less lipophilic, thereby concentrate androgen in testis. When androgen concentration increases in testis, it stimulates the spermatogonial cell and increases the sperm production. But when this sperm production exceeds from the limit, when this sperm production exceeds from the limit, the overproduction of sperm, the overproduction of sperm also stimulates the Sertoli cell. So another signal for the stimulation of Sertoli cell is overproduction of sperm. Is another signal for stimulating this Sertoli cell. The overproduction of sperm from the limit, the overproduction of sperm stimulate this Sertoli cell. So the increased production or the overproduction of sperm stimulate this Sertoli cell. As a result, this Sertoli cell receives that signal, and this Sertoli cell begins to develop a protein hormone. The protein hormone called as inhibin. See, which is signal? Overproduction of sperm. Overproduction of sperm is a signal. That overproduction of sperm stimulates the same Sertoli cell. Then that Sertoli cell synthesizes a hormone, inhibin, is a protein hormone. Inhibin function, this inhibin will inhibit FSH. What is the role of inhibin? This inhibin inhibit the hormone FSH. See here, what is the role of this FSH? FSH stimulate the Sertoli cell, then Sertoli cell produce androgen binding protein. Androgen binding protein concentrate androgen in testis, thereby enhances sperm production. But when this sperm production abnormally increases, this Sertoli cell again produce another hormone called as inhibin. This inhibin inhibit the FSH, thereby slow down the production of which one? ABP, and androgen can't concentrate in testis and thereby decreases the sperm production. So that the sperm production, the homeostasis of sperm production is maintained by this Sertoli cell. See, by the action of inhibin, FSH decreases, AB production decreases, androgen concentration in the testis decreases, thereby decreases sperm production. And when this sperm production decreases from the limit, what happens? The inhibin secretion from this Sertoli cell stop. What happened? FSH secretion again started. FSH stimulates Sertoli cell. ABP produced, ABP concentrate androgen and enhances spermatogenesis. So this Sertoli cell provide a vital role in this spermatogenesis or sperm production. So its functions are it provides nourishment, then it secretes the protein, androgen binding protein, then it secretes a hormone called as inhibin. Next function. See, these are Sertoli cell. And here between the Sertoli cell, tight junctions are seen in between Sertoli cell. Tight junction. Tight junction means the neighboring cells are tightly bounded with the help of some protein. It is tight junction. This tight junction function, this tight junction always prevent the leaking of substances across the tissue. So the tight junctions are seen in between the Sertoli cell. Tight junction. Not only between the very nearest cell, here these tight junctions are seen between Sertoli cells. See here, these are Sertoli cell, and this Sertoli cell extended to the lumen of seminiferous tubule. And in this lumen, the head of these Sertoli cells are tightly bounded with the help of these tight junctions. That means this tight junction partition the germinal epithelium. This tight junction in the Sertoli cell partition the germinal epithelium into a basal compartment and a luminal compartment. This tight junction of Sertoli cell partition the lumen of seminiferous or germinal epithelium to a basal compartment and a luminal compartment. So these were the basal compartment. This basal compartment contains this spermatogonial cell. The basal compartment contains this spermatogonial cell. See here, when this spermatogonial cell under the stimulation of androgen, when this spermatogonial cell differentiated from spermatocyte, and this spermatocyte release some signal. When this spermatogonial cell start differentiation, and that developing spermatogonial cell release some signal, and by the releasing of this signal, when this signal received by Sertoli cell, this channel open, this tight junction open. As a result, this spermatogonial cell reaches the lumen of seminiferous tubule, and in this lumen, this spermatogonial cell differentiated to form sperm. At this time, this tight junction again become closed. Suppose this is the basal compartment, spermatogonial cell, and this from the Sertoli cell, and this is the tight junction in the Sertoli cell, tight junction in the Sertoli cells. And when this spermatogonial cell differentiated, this tight junction open. As a result, spermatogonial cell reaches the lumen. When it reaches the lumen, this tight junction again remain closed. And here this spermatogonial cell differentiated to form sperm or spermatozoa. Suppose this one is sperm. And this sperm surface has some protein, some surface proteins on this sperm. Some surface proteins are found in sperm. And some of these surface proteins become antigenic. Antigenic means any foreign body that can elicit immune response in our body, or any foreign body that can elicit the lymphocytes in our body are antigens. So here some of the surface proteins act as antigens. See here, this is the basal germinal epithelium. This form the germinal epithelium. See here, this is the cross section of our seminiferous tubule, and this form the germinal epithelium or lining. Just beneath this lining, the blood vessels are there. These are the blood vessels. The blood vessels of seminiferous tubule. So, if this tight junction remain open, there is a chance of exposure of the sperm as well as the surface protein of sperm with the blood of this seminiferous tubule. If such exposure occurs, that means any exposure of the sperm with the blood of this seminiferous tubule, we have lymphocytes in our blood. lymphocytes like T lymphocytes. The T lymphocytes are responsible for rejection of the self-antigens also. If our T lymphocytes recognize this antigen, or if our T lymphocytes in blood recognize this sperm or this surface protein as an antigen, they try to destruct that sperm. That means produce an immune response like autoimmunity developed here. That means our own immunity try to destruct this sperm as well as the surface protein of sperm, which will result in the autoimmunity. So for preventing such autoimmunity, this tight junction acts as a blood-testis barrier. So the tight junction of Sertoli cell, another function of Sertoli cell, the tight junction of Sertoli cell acts as blood-testis barrier. The tight junction of Sertoli cell acts as blood-testis barrier. So here the functions are nourishment, secreting androgen binding protein, secrete the hormone inhibin, and it acts as a blood-testis barrier. Next function, this Sertoli cell secrete a hormone called as anti-Mullerian hormone. Sertoli cell secrete a hormone, anti-Mullerian hormone, AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone. This anti-Mullerian hormone, AMH, inhibit the development of Mullerian duct in male. Inhibit the development of Mullerian duct in male. Mullerian duct means in both male and female during their embryonic stage, both in male and female during embryonic stage, these Mullerian duct were formed. From the Mullerian duct, the female accessory ducts like fallopian tube, uterus, vagina, etc. were formed from this Mullerian duct. So these are the embryonic ducts from which the female accessory ducts like fallopian tube, uterus, vagina, etc. were formed from this Mullerian duct. And these Mullerian ducts were formed both male and female during embryonic stage. But in male, this Sertoli cell secrete the hormone anti-Mullerian hormone. This anti-Mullerian hormone inhibit the development of Mullerian duct. This anti-Mullerian hormone inhibit the development of Mullerian duct in male. And this anti-Mullerian hormone secreted by these Sertoli cells. Then this Sertoli cell produce growth factors. Growth factors or the signal, the epidermal growth factors or the paracrine signals. These Sertoli cell produce some growth signal or growth factors required for spermiogenesis during spermatogenesis. So this Sertoli cell produce some growth factors required for spermiogenesis. These are the functions of Sertoli cells in male reproductive system. So the germinal epithelium of seminiferous tubule consisting two types of cell. They are the small and numerous cells are spermatogonial cells or male germ cell. And that spermatogonial cell differentiated to form sperm. And here the larger cells are Sertoli cell. Functions of these Sertoli cells are it provide nourishment to the sperm as well as this growing spermatogonial cell. It secrete androgen binding protein. Then it secrete the hormone inhibin which will inhibit FSH. Then it produce the anti-Mullerian hormone, inhibit the development of Mullerian duct in male. And it produce some growth factors or signal required for spermiogenesis. These are the functions of Sertoli cells. So this is a seminiferous tubule and this one is another seminiferous tubule. See, suppose this is a testicular lobule. Each testicular lobule contains 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubule. Suppose these are two seminiferous tubule in a testicular lobule. And here, between this seminiferous tubule, some type of tissues are seen in between this seminiferous tubule. These cells seen in between the seminiferous tubules called as interstitial cells. The cells seen in between the seminiferous tubules are interstitial cells or the Leydig cells. The cells seen between the seminiferous tubules or the cells present in the interstitial space. The interstitial space, the space between the seminiferous tubules are interstitial space. The cells present in this interstitial space called as interstitial cells or Leydig cells. And this Leydig cell, suppose this one is the Leydig cell. This Leydig cells possess LH receptor. This Leydig cell possesses the receptor for the hormone LH. It has the LH receptor. When the hormone LH act on this receptor, when the hormone LH stimulate the receptor, these interstitial cells get stimulated and these interstitial cells start producing or secreting the hormones androgens. So what is the role of this interstitial cell? This interstitial cell secrete the hormone androgen under the stimulation of LH. Under the stimulation of LH, these interstitial cells or Leydig cells secrete the hormones androgens. Androgens means a group of hormone. This group of hormones includes testosterone, dihydrotestosterone, and androstenedione. These are androgens, and these androgens are secreted by these interstitial cells or Leydig cells under the stimulation of the hormone LH. Then in addition to this Leydig cell, some immunologically competent cells are also seen in this interstitial space. Some immune competent cells, that means competency means ability to respond to a signal. That means here some immune cells are there and these immune cells are competent to antigens. So here some immune cells are there and these immune cells are competent to antigen. So this type of immunologically competent cells are also found in this interstitial space in addition to these Leydig cells or interstitial cells. So this forms the structure of testis, and here what are the functions of this testis? The testicular functions includes spermatogenesis. Testis functions include spermatogenesis takes place in the lumen of seminiferous tubule. Then this testis secrete the hormone androgens like testosterone, dihydrotestosterone and androstenedione. So these hormones are secreted by testis, and all the functions of Sertoli cells are the functions of testis. So in this session, we completed the structure and function of testis. Okay, and thank you for watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe my channel, Sharon's Zoology. Bye, see you.